So according to Watson and Crick model of DNA, which was proposed in 1953, the salient features of the double helical structure of DNA are as follow. Please remember NCERT has mentioned only 5 points to explain this model, but I have made an elaborate method of explaining many points in it. So you should go through the NCERT points also and try to write those points whenever answers are asked. A DNA molecule consists of two chains of polynucleotide. So there are two chains or two strands which run helically and they are twisted in the right-handed manner. Each chain of the DNA duplex has a backbone of alternating deoxyribose sugar and phosphate group. Phosphate group is connected to the 5' carbon of the sugar residue of its own nucleotide, and the 3' end of the sugar 3' carbon of the sugar residue of the next nucleotide with the help of a bond. I remember I kept telling you when a nucleotide formation is talked about, you should mention phosphoester bond. But when DNA or RNA formation is talked about, you should talk about which bond? Phosphodiester bond. So I will explain now the bond formation on the next page. So phosphate group provides acidity to the nucleic acid because at least one of its side group is free to dissociate. You know the side groups which are present in the phosphate is OH there. 3 OH are present, phosphorus in the middle, and double bond would be with the oxygen molecule. So the first prime carbon of the deoxyribose sugar attaches to the nitrogen base by glycosidic bond. We have already covered this. This bond is also called as the N-glycosidic bond because it involves nitrogen in this. As a side chain, therefore nitrogen base lie at 90-degree angle to the longitudinal axis of the DNA. The two chains have opposite polarity, and so you can call them as anti-parallel polarity. That means one chain runs in 3' to 5' direction and the other chain runs in the 5' to 3' direction. The two side chains are held together with the help of hydrogen bonds between these bases. Purine of one chain pairs with the pyrimidine of the other chain, forming base pair. So base pair is always made up of one purine and one pyrimidine, or one pyrimidine on one chain and purine on the other chain. So adenine always pairs with thymine and with two hydrogen bonds, and guanine always pair with the cytosine with the help of 3 hydrogen bond. This ensures correct base pairing and prevents the wrong base pairings. Thus, the two chains are complementary to each other. Complementary means making always sense between each other. Complement to each other means matching. A large sized purines are always larger in size. If you remember the last notes we have already done, always pair with a smaller pyrimidine. So that's why the distance remain equal, because one molecule is big, then the other molecule is small. So the distance between two strands always remains same. This provides a uniform thickness of 2 nanometer to the two chains of the DNA molecule. So distance between two chains remains same. Reason is, but if there is purine which is larger in size on one chain, then it will always pair with a pyrimidine which is smaller in size on the other chain. One turn of the twisted double helix of the DNA is 3.4 nanometer. It has 10 paired nucleotides with a distance between the adjacent paired nucleotides is 0.34 nanometer. The diameter of the DNA is 2 nanometer. Double helix shows a major or a deep groove and a minor or a shallow groove. In the diagram on the next page, this point would be made clear to you that what exactly are the deep grooves and the shallow grooves. The other name for them is major grooves or the minor grooves. Now if you can easily see this, I think the diagram I have drawn 2-3 times to make it clearer. If this is one chain, then this is the components of the second chain. So this is the nitrogen base. This is the nitrogen base, nitrogen, which forms a bond with the first position carbon of the pentose sugar. This sugar is deoxyribose sugar here. So this bond formed is N-glycosidic bond, And then the 5th position carbon has a phosphate group attached here. Now you can see that similar diagram I have drawn here. This is a pyrimidine and this one is a purine. If you remember, purines are larger in size. And then you can check one thing, that one of the side group or the OH here is involved with the OH of the 3rd position carbon of the previous sugar. So this bond, now you can see here, this phosphate is involved in 2 bond formation. One bond is formed with the original 5th position carbon and the other bond is formed with the previous nucleotide's third position carbon. So this phosphate is making 2 bonds here. This is the one bond and this is the second bond. So these 2 bonds are together called as phosphodiester bond. When we talk about one nucleotide, when we talk about just one nucleotide, then this is the only bond formed here. That's why it is called as phosphoester bond. But when we talk about 2 nucleotides joining together, then the joint is formed because of the OH group participating with the condensation reaction with another OH group here. So one molecule of water is gone, one oxygen helps in attachment. So now the bond formed is phosphodiester bond. I hope this point is clear to you. Similar composition is present on the opposite side. You can see here guanine is attached with the deoxyribose sugar and phosphate, and similarly thymine with the deoxyribose sugar and the phosphate group. And then you can see that the cytosine is joined with the guanine with the help of 3 hydrogen bonds, and adenine is joined with the thymine with the help of 2 hydrogen bonds. So these number of bonds would be fixed because in chemistry the chemistry has happened in such a manner that the number of atoms they are facing each other to develop hydrogen bond is fixed. So 3 hydrogen bonds with G and C and 2 hydrogen bonds with A and T.